The traditional e-commerce funnel just died. Because as of now, forcing your Meta's ad traffic to click a link and just wait for a Shopify landing page to load is the absolute fastest way to bankrupt your business. If you are a 7 or 8 figure beauty or apparel founder obsessively staring at your backend analytics and watching that 70% click to purchase drop off eat away at your margins, then you need to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy what we call the QVC protocol. I will break down exactly how to leverage Meta's brand new in-stream live checkout feature to run cold traffic directly into a cinematic live broadcast. The result? Your customers buy in just 3 taps without ever leaving the app. If you ignore this, you will spend the rest of the year watching your CPAs violently double. Or even worse, you will watch your competitors just seamlessly scoop up your highest impulse buyers simply because they eliminated the friction you refuse to fix. Now, for context, I'm Peter Fisabolcs and I run Ads and Leads. And let's start with the exact moment your customer decides to buy. It's not when they watch your ad, but it is the microsecond their brain actually commits. And there is a strict biological window, a dopamine peak, where that impulse is red hot. As an operator, your job is to capture that transaction before the dopamine crashes. But right now, your current funnel is actively trying to talk them out of it. Think about the traditional checkout process. They click your ad, they wait for Shopify to load, they scroll, hunt for their size, add it to the cart, and then manually type out a 16-digit card number. Every single tap, every single loading screen, not to mention every single form they need to fill out, is friction. It is a biological speed bump that gives their logical brain time to step in, overanalyze, and kill the sale. You aren't losing buyers to better competitors. You are losing them due to friction. And this is why Meta's new in-stream checkout is lethal. We are completely eliminating the gap between desire and acquisition. The user sees your apparel on a live model, taps the screen, utilizes Meta's native card integration, and checks out. 0 redirects and 0 abandoned carts due to slow load times. You literally collapse a multi-step logical consideration phase into a 3-step emotional reflex. By removing the hoops, you don't just optimize a conversion rate. You fundamentally change the psychology of the purchase. You stop selling the product and start monetizing the raw impulse, which is amazing. But a frictionless checkout is completely useless if you are only broadcasting it to a stagnant, organic follower base. Which brings us to the actual weapon. How we force the live environment into feeds of cold, high-intent buyers. Now you have the frictionless checkout. But if you rely on the organic reach to power this, you are dead on arrival. Most founder thinks going live means just pinging their existing followers and praying the algorithm is in a good mood. Now, that is a small time play. We don't want to preach to the stagnant choir. We want to aggressively hijack cold, high-intent traffic and force them into our buying environment. And here's the brutal reality of organic live commerce. You hit broadcast, Meta shows it to maybe 2% of your audience. You get 40 viewers and a handful of emojis, but 0 meaningful revenue. The ROI on your time is abysmal, and the cost of relying on organic reach is absolute scale stagnation. Now, you can fix this with Meta's newly unlocked top-of-funnel live ads. We stop treating live streams like community updates, and we start treating them like ruthless direct response campaigns. We take your highest performing broad audiences and your most aggressive scaling budgets, and we inject your live broadcast directly into the feeds of the people who have never heard of your brand. Now, they don't need to follow you. They are just simply scrolling and they see a dynamic live product demonstration, and the paid push pulls them in instantly. We are no longer waiting for organic distribution. We are buying our way the front of the line and scaling viewerships mathematically. But here's a fatal flaw. You can force thousands of cold buyers into a live feed. But if they click in and see you holding a shaky iPhone in a dimly lit warehouse, the trust evaporates immediately. Which brings us to the final variable, which is a non-negotiable: the visual authority. With this, you are pumping aggressive cold traffic into the feed. But the second a new prospect enters your live room, a psychological stopwatch starts ticking. You have exactly 3 seconds to command premium authority, or they are gone. So, what's the single visual trigger that dictates whether a high-ticket buyer taps purchase or instantly scrolls away? It is your environment. The fastest way to nuke your brand equity and completely incinerate your ad budget is to broadcast from a dimly lit office or a cluttered warehouse. If your live feed looks like a cheap influencer cash grab, the consumer's brain immediately links the low-rent visual to a low-quality apparel. Subconscious trust evaporates and the checkout never happens. Now, to fix that, you must treat this broadcast like a high-end professional set, where you deploy a cinematic 3-point studio lighting to sculpt the product. You use a clean depth of field background to eliminate the distractions entirely. You run a multi-camera setup, one authoritative wide shot for the host, and a dedicated hardwired macro lens strictly for showing the texture, the stitching, and the drape of the fabric in real time. When your cold traffic drops into a broadcast that looks like a $1 million production, the price resistance immediately vanishes. You replace skepticism with instant visual authority, which engineers the exact psychological environment required to turn a casual stroller into a high-ticket buyer on the spot. When you combine the biological trigger of a frictionless checkout, the absolute visual dominance of a cinematic studio, and the mathematical scale of a paid top-of-funnel traffic, you don't just run a campaign. You build a closed-loop commerce engine that is the QVC protocol. You capture attention, manufacture the trust, and close the transaction in one seamless environment, completely bypassing the traditional broken e-commerce funnel. And just imagine logging into your dashboard tomorrow and seeing your CPA slashed in half. And it's not because you tweaked a headline or prayed to the Meta algorithm, but because you surgically removed the 70% drop-off rate that was slowly bleeding your margins dry. But a high-end broadcast is not particularly useful without high-intent eyeballs. And this is exactly where my agency, Ads and Leads, step in. We deploy the aggressive top-of-funnel traffic engines, manage the heavy Meta ad budgets, and mathematically force your live checkout into the feeds of cold, high-ticket buyers. I mean, just think about it. There are operators who are already weaponizing this exact Meta feature to steal market share from brands who are too slow to adapt. And the biological window of an impulse buy closes fast. And so does the market opportunity. Right now, your competitors are still trying to figure out why their Shopify landing pages are tanking. So, if you wait, you will spend the rest of the year watching your costs violently double as this feature becomes the new baseline. Do not be the last operator to adapt. Click the link in the description and book a call with my team and me at Ads and Leads. We will map out the exact paid advertising architecture required to funnel hyper-targeted traffic directly into your new closed-loop engine. Click the link in the description and let's turn your ad spend into this lethal asset.